The Pittsburgh Steelers players are unhappy with Art Rooney II, and it does not look good, Steeler Nation, from the outside looking in. And now we're getting some reports and grades that are coming from Steelers players who have filled out, forms or surveys, a bit like when you're in your job or your workplace, and you say, "I'm unhappy" or "Things are going well." Like, are you satisfied or are you content with the job? And the reports are coming out. So there's been reports from, I think it's NFL. You can look it up too, by the way. It's NFLPA.com. Pittsburgh Steelers report 2024, last year. And there's reporting from all these teams. Now, somehow, some way, Miami got A pluses across the board. Now, is there, you know, connection or correlation to a good locker room winning Super Bowls? Maybe, but if Miami's getting A pluses, they went nowhere near the playoffs. So here's a Steelers report card in comparison to Miami. A plus coach, owner A plus, food A plus, travel A plus, weight room A plus, and treatment of family A. And they missed the playoffs last year and haven't won a playoff game for a very long time. Pittsburgh is A coach, D owner, which we're going to talk about. Food is B, travel is B, weight room C and a half or C plus, and treatment of family is C minus. Now, I'm pretty sure that these report cards come from the actual players inside the locker room and do surveys to the NFLPA, and they grab all the data and stats, and then they have one big report card. But you can go to the website yourself and check it out and see what players are saying. Now, in a few moments' time, I'll be going through the whole report card and giving you my take on what I think. Now, from the get-go, it does not look good for Art Rooney II. And we do know there's been a lot of cultural problems over the last few years. So here's a bit of example. You've got Minnesota getting A pluses. You got Las Vegas getting A's and B's. San Francisco getting A's and B's there. Detroit's getting A's and a few B's. Down near us, though, is on the second page, Pittsburgh getting A, D, B, B, C, C, which is a weight room and treatment of family. We have a couple of D's being Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the owners, and New England and Arizona getting D's. I guess Cleveland, that's crazy. Cleveland for their coach got C, but at the same time, he's meant to be coach of the year 2 years, twice in his life. So that's a bad grade for the coach. And I also think too, what do these really mean? Is there anything behind this? Is the grading just the players are rating how satisfied they are in the building? Is there anything to this? Is there culture linked to it? Is there Super Bowls linked to this as well? So you go to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia got A coach, B owner, A food minus A, travel F. Not a fan of that. Maybe that could be with how they organize their flights or bus routes or whatever it may be. Plus, they went to Brazil last year too. Weight room B, and treatment of family minus C. So is there any correlation or any connection to winning Super Bowls? But I do want to go through this, and let's go through it right now. This is the Pittsburgh Steelers report card, 2024. I'm going to get me off the screen. I'm going to talk about it because Art Rooney is going to be facing a lot of heat, not only from the Steelers fans, but media, and I think he's facing heat from his players. So you scroll down here, you guys can go to this website. So Pittsburgh Steelers rated on this report card 28 out of 32. Rightio. So then we go down here, and the overview was Steelers ranked 28th this year. Unsurprising, the highest marks the club go to head coach Mike Tomlin because he's a great leader, reporting with great workplace culture, respecting them and their time. Beyond Mike Tomlin, in the opinion of the responding players, the Steelers fall short and far behind workplace standards across the NFL. For example, they are one of 4 teams who do not provide their players' families with a family room or daycare on game day. They are one of 7 teams who players feel the weight room is no better, where they could train off-site, and players feel the lack of necessary staffing in the training room to receive appropriate amount of individual care. Now, dead set, that could be a problem. If you are a Pittsburgh Steeler and you have a family, like TJ Watt's having a family soon, or they haven't got the amenities to take care of, I don't know, maybe just facilitate the kids in the building. It's not, players aren't that happy, but is that an overall cultural thing where you have to have that to win Super Bowls? Maybe, but I don't know. It's just kind of something that the players feel like that should be, getting better at, and maybe Art Rooney can get better at that. The second point was also the players feel like seven players are one of seven teams who players feel like the weight room is no better where they could train off site. Now, to build a good team, you've got to be all together inside the same locker room. And the players also feel like they need better training, staffing in the room to receive appropriate amount of individual care. So maybe the players are just unhappy they're not getting one-on-one with their training guys there. So we're going to break it down. I'm going to break down the categories and talk through them all. Here we go. Let's move down to here are the categories. Treatment of families, they got a grade F, ranked 29 out of 32. Food cafeteria got minus, they got B minus, 16th. Nutrition and dietitian got 30th. So obviously that's a problem in the Steelers locker room. Locker room, they got F, 30th. It is quite old school. I've been there. I think some of you guys have been on the tour. It's not the one of the newest locker rooms in the NFL. Training room, D plus, 29th. Training staff. So there's a common theme right there. It's locker room, 30th. Training room, 29th. Training staff, 28th. Weight room, 24th. Strength coaches, 20th, about average. And team travel, 28th. But basically, around the locker room and the weight room and the training staff is all around 29, 27, or 30. So there's a big problem there. Now, where they excel at, and many fans don't like, and here's I guess one of the huge disconnects, is head coach is a Mike Tomlin. He's 5th, right? And ownership is F for 31st. So that's pretty massive. On one side, you have Mike Tomlin and the coaching staff, or Mike Tomlin, head coach, getting 5th in the league and getting an A. And on the other side, it's Art Rooney getting the second, getting 31st and getting an F. So is there a disconnect? These are your players telling you that something is up, that they're not happy, that you're getting feedback and things need to change. So is it a Mike Tomlin thing, or is it more on Art Rooney that things need to change? Now, that could just be like we need a water cooler in this certain part. We want our families to have a daycare room, or is it bigger than that, where they want to have better direction with the organization and going out and getting players or treatment of the players, or maybe overall scheme of how the players are playing football and what are they getting told and coached, and I don't know. It's one of those things. Is it Art Rooney holding this team back? I know some people want to fire the owner and not fire Coach Tomlin. Is it Mike Tomlin holding him back? It's just very, very, very interesting. So I'll keep going, right? I'll keep going down. Treatment of family is going to minus F. We'll skip through that one. Food cafeteria, they're ranked 14th overall in food taste, ranked 14th and overall in food freshness. So about average. D, they got 30th for nutrition. Players gave their third lowest grade. There we go. Locker room, 60% of the players feel like the locker room isn't big enough, was 28. 65% of players feel like they have enough room in the individual lockers, which is 29th overall. And the most common change players like to see locker room is outdated lockers and overall expansion. But I just talked about that before. That's something it's been built since 2000 and was it 2 or whatever Heinz Field was. So 23 years. It's an old stadium. It's an older stadium than most, right? So the players are just unhappy with the locker room. Training room, says here, only 79% of players have enough time, or full-time trainers. Here's one. 83 players feel like they have enough cold tub space, 20 overall. And they would also like to add a sauna, which most teams offer. So it's a bit outdated, which I feel like is happening here. It says here, players felt the training staff only slightly contributes to their success. Weight room is C. Players feel that the quality of the equipment in the weight room is average, 28th overall. Players feel like they don't have space in the weight room, 23rd overall. Only majority Steelers believe the facility is no better where they could train otherwise. 5 other teams in the league have similar poor impressions, so they could train here at Heinz Field or UPMC sports complex, or they could train at home. B for strength and coaches, team travel Says players here, ratings, travel schedule is a third worst in the NFL. Um, Steelers do not require that players, was it Steelers do not require that any players have roommates before games. Okay, so you can be in your own room. Here's one: head coach. Steelers players give ratings to Mike Tomlin, making him the highest ranked head coach in the NFL. Mike Tomlin receives a 9.6 out of 10 individual rating from his players, and 98% of players feel like Mike Tomlin is efficient with their time. And the players that feel that Mike Tomlin is very willing to listen in the locker room, ninth overall. We kind of know that. We kind of know that Mike Tomlin is a player's coach, but Mike Tomlin isn't overly received as a good coach or a great coach from the fans. But here's the big one. Here's the big one we're going to talk about, and that's the ownership. The ownership got overall an F. Club owner Art Rooney II receives a 5.8 out of 10 from the Steelers players when considering his willingness to invest in the facilities, 31st overall. So maybe, just maybe, it's just talking about the facilities and changing the daycare, the family routine. Maybe the food was like was 16th. The weight room, the training room, the strength coaches. It could be all pointing towards those factors. But from the outside looking in, it doesn't look good to say that 68% of your players aren't happy or you guys are receiving. Like it's not good. It's not good at all. I'm not trying to make this like to give it a positive spin. Getting in this report card, getting F 31st, club owner receives 5.8 out of 10. That just pretty much means that players aren't happy. They're very, very unhappy in this situation. Now, of course, these players are getting millions of dollars. They're building their career. They're making podcasts. They're doing all these kind of things. They're trying to be the best player they can be. But from the outside looking in, Steelers Nation fans are going to go crazy about this because they do want change. You guys do want to win playoff games. You do want to see your city be successful. And when the players are outright telling you through surveys and grades and saying, we're not happy, we want things to change, we want better weight rooms, we want better training rooms or whatever it may be, then at this point, yeah, things do need to change. And there hasn't been much said in terms of Art Rooney and the changes or the big promises that have been happening because we have just been going to the playoffs, losing, going home, right? I always support the Pittsburgh Steelers no matter what, 100%. But it does feel like that the last year they were trying to move the needle with a Russell Wilson signing, and then it all fell apart in the playoffs. And now the players are telling, I think the second year in a row, telling Art Rooney, hey, man, we need something different. And look, Art Rooney's not going to sell the team. It's not going to happen. It won't happen. But can he just do minor changes to keep these players happy and motivated and overall wanting to be a Pittsburgh Steeler and playing like a Steeler? Because sometimes you watch games and they try their hardest out, but near the end, everything just turns off and you just see them get absolutely smacked in the playoffs, and they're not the same team they were in week 3, 4, 5, and 6, or at the start of the season when we went 10-3, 10-2. The Steelers were 10-2, and then the overall collapse. So the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't happy, guys. Anyways, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm like 50-50 with it. I kind of care. I kind of care what the players are saying. At the same time, I'm not going to read too much into it, right? This is a cultural thing. This is a Pittsburgh Steelers organization thing. This is something that the Steelers and the team, the coaches, and the organization, the players, have to figure out themselves. To be successful, you need to work together. You have to work with the coaches. The organization must work with the players. To be any kind of like community like that, you need to work together. So, but the players are calling out Art Rooney saying, man, you suck. Like you're 30, what? You're 31st? Was it 31st? Yeah, 31st out of all the teams. From a report card standpoint, ownership is 31st. So that's a big red flag, huge red flag that your players are saying, you know what, man, you're 31st. Like you suck. Like we want better, and could the players play better on the field? 100%. So this is the disconnect, I think, is who's pulling all the strings? Who's saying, play conservatively? Who's saying use the playbook like this, or who's making all the moves and stuff like that? Well, it comes from Rooney, Mike Tomlin, coaches, players, assistant coaches, and special teams coaches, whoever. So it's the owner, head coach, and it just falls down from there. But you can tell right now that the players are very frustrated by giving this feedback to the organization, and they're more than allowed to. You give feedback, you can be critical or whatever, but it's a funny time to be a Steelers fan right now because it does feel like we are just stuck in this middle point. This standard is a standard, and we can't move past the playoff game. It's just what it is right now. So I don't know. This could be bad. This could be a bad look for the Steelers getting an F in the report card. In all the teams. And look, to be honest, the fact that the Dolphins got A pluses and Steelers are getting D, but we went to the playoffs. But there's still something up. There's still something up with the Steelers culture, and it's been like this for the last 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7 years. Just something's up, and you can blame Mike Tomlin if you want to in the comments. That's up to you. I don't care. I'm just trying to report on these report cards and give you my 2 cents, what I think. Honest to goodness, I think that Cameron Haywood, Minka, TJ, I think these guys got to have like players meetings. They got to come together as a unit. Start having fun again. They need to find a quarterback. They got to sign a running back. They got to go to the draft and get a receiver. They got to figure out what to do with George Pickens. They got to come together and start having fun again. Start building the Steelers organization and community, and start having fun and winning games and playing that lights out defense and playing as a brotherhood. Still brotherhood. That's what they're going to need to do. They need to come together. And if they do have a bad weight room, then just go with it. If they do have bad facilities or they don't have the best training staff on hand, just go with it. Get better and chase Lombardis. But you can tell the players are very frustrated at Art Rooney because he received a 31 out of 32 and he got 5.6 out of 10. The players aren't happy with Art Rooney.